Hey family, it's Jaquie Rogers, and I'm so proud today to be joined by my mother, Cyrilla Shaw, as we launch something we've been working on for months. Blessed are the bereaved.
The mission and vision of Blessed Are the Bereaved is to offer comprehensive support in the St. Louis metropolitan area to the parent whose child has died.
While we'll be launching those cohorts or those support groups later on down the line, currently we're looking for volunteers who are interested in participating in our Companioning the Bereaved workshop that'll be taking place on March 17th, 2019 from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. If you're interested in signing up to participate in this workshop, just know that it's designed to help us build a community of support around the parent whose child has died. And if you're interested in registering, the link to do so can be found above or below this link. Or you can just visit mama2mama.net, click on workshops in the upper right hand corner, click Blessed Are the Bereaved, and the application will be there.
We're interested and excited about building that force of volunteers, Jaquie, so that we can soon thereafter start the actual support groups. So we want to see what type of response we get and how many we will be able to accommodate at a time in our support groups themselves. So look out in the near future for hearing when and where those support groups will start. We anticipate them being weekly for 8 weeks at a time.
Indeed. And so a question that might come to mind for some of you is, well, what's the difference between companioning and therapy? And so today we just wanted to briefly go over or show you the parallels between the two. What's treatment and what's companionship, and how do those things differ?
Keeping in mind that we don't need you to be a therapist to be one of our volunteers.
Indeed.
All right, so we're excited now. What we're going to do is talk about what is treatment and what is companioning in that same area. So I'll start. So treatment would be to return the mourner to a prior state of homeostatic balance or their old normal.
Companioning emphasizes the transformative, life-changing experience of grief or developing a new normal.
Treatment looks at control or stop of the distressful symptoms because the distress is bad.
Companioning causes us to observe or watch out for, bear witness, and see the value in soul-based symptoms of grief.
Under the treatment model, you would be following a prescriptive model where a counselor is perceived as the expert.
Through companioning, the bereaved person guides the journey. They teach me is the foundational principle of being a companion.
Treatment, the pathology is rooted in sustained relationship to the dead person.
Companioning acknowledges that there is a normal shift from the relationship of presence to a relationship of memory.
Under treatment, the positions the griever has is that of a passive role as they're being treated by the specialist.
Companioning represents or recognizes the need for the mourner to actively mourn.
Under treatment, the grieving person ranges from compliant to non-compliant in the eyes of the therapist.
In companioning, the grieving person expresses the reality of being torn apart as best they can.
Again, treatment, the quality of care is judged by how well the grief was managed.
In companioning, the quality of care is monitored by how well we allowed the griever to lead the journey.
For the treatment model, denial interferes with efficient integration of the loss and must be overcome.
With companioning, denial helps to sustain the integration of the loss from the head to the heart. It is matched with patience and compassion.
Under the treatment model, we establish control. The therapist controls, they create strategic plans of intervention.
The companioner shows up with curiosity and a willingness to learn from the griever.
Finally, under the treatment model, we provide satisfactory answers for all emotional, spiritual questions and dilemmas.
And finally, in the companioning model, we honor the mystery and we facilitate the continuing search for meaning, and there's no urgency to solve or satisfy the dilemma.
At this time, Jaquie, I just want to give what you young people call a shout out to Annie's Hope for the provision of all of these wonderful materials when I took their 4-day grief workshop. Mm-hmm. What we're going to look at now, I know as you heard what you just did, that the therapist side may sound a little tense and structured, but please trust and know that there may be some red flags as this person adjusts in their journey that indicates that this is not going to go well for them and that there might be a need to get that extra support of a specialist or therapist to help them to get through the crisis. All right? So what we're going to look at now are called red flags of grief for the adults. And I thank Annie's Hope again. This was a handout that I got from them in their comprehensive grief workshop. Yeah. All right, so Jaquie, what are some of the red flags that would indicate the individual needs to look more toward the statements that I was giving?
Yes, so one red flag, especially for adults who are also caring for children who are living, might be that they're unable to take care of their kids, meaning that the kids might be cooking on their own, eating at a neighbor's, their clothes are disheveled, they're missing school, you might be forgetting to do basic things like pick them up, things of that nature.
All right, so the death of the one child has caused the family to fall apart. It's not functioning anymore.
Yeah. So speaking of non-functioning on a daily basis could be a symptom or a red flag of grief for adults.
Yes, that person may not even feel like getting out of bed or going to work. They're no longer engaging in their own personal hygiene, and we can see that they may just be overwhelmed with their anger, etc. They just are not functioning well in their life.
Yeah. They might also find that it's difficult to make decisions.
Mm-hmm. So they could be spending enormous amounts of time worrying. The human side of us causes us not to be able to just jump into every decision with poise and grace, but for the individual that we're seeing the red flag in, they spend more time worrying than they do making decisions.
Substance abuse, the use of alcohol or drugs could also be a red flag.
Every time I connect this with the work that we're trying to do, I get excited, Jaquie, because I know that every human longs for companionship and that they would far rather have an understanding human flesh and blood person that will allow them to express themselves to them and be heard. Mm-hmm.
They might start to express threats towards themselves or others.
Yes, so this has really torn them apart in such a way that all they know how to do is act out against somebody or even against themselves. So again, we're talking about red flags when it comes to bereavement.
So something that personally shocked me that I didn't know could be an indicator or a red flag might be dating immediately after the death.
Because what that may indicate is that a hole has been created and this next person is being sought to fill a hole. All right, so that's the dating part, and certainly the loss of a child it would be a stretch, I think, to fit that in, but we just want to throw that out there, that if this person hasn't lost a spouse or a significant other, but that they lost their child and then they're instantly jumping into something else, or even maybe we can say becoming coveting after other people's children, etc. So as you can see, we're kind of stretching here, but this is a part of the red flag of grief for adults here.
I think the biggest point might be that they're just seeking a relationship to fill that void, whether it's romantic or otherwise.
Yes.
You even mentioned coveting other people's children.
Yes. And that's a slow process too. There may be a part of them that really does want to hug that child or hold that baby or have those kids over, etc. But if we find that the person gets stuck there, and that we see that all this is just them not working, doing the work they're going to have to do eventually to live life without that child, then we're looking at a red flag.
Yeah. So what about detachment from the person who died?
All right. So what we can often see is the individual who acts like they never even knew who that person was that died, and that it doesn't matter to them. Yeah, they're better off anyway, or I knew they was gonna leave me someday, or whatever, and they're just distancing themselves from that lost individual.
Yeah. How might the circumstance of the death impact red flags or the ways that adults can grieve for the loss of a child, the death of a child?
Right. So see, Jaquie, we have to be sensitive to the fact that violent deaths are very sudden and unexpected. Sometimes if the body has not been found, that gives another layer of pain and sadness. Sometimes the actual images of the death by accident can give another layer. If it's flashing on the news, if it's in the newspaper, actually where they are seeing these images of what has happened to their child, that can be very, very hard. Very hard. Because they're learning it and seeing it as the public does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'd even say that when I go on social media, I feel a particular way when I see, long posts about people who have been lost, and it's hard for me to not allow my mind to wonder what it's like for the person experiencing that grief, and those consistent reminders coming through, even if it is from well-meaning people who just want to express their condolences or their sympathy or empathy for what that person is going through. Just something that always sits in the back of my mind is, what must it be like to have those recurring reminders of the loss that you've just experienced?
And Jaquie, that shows great sensitivity on your part, that you know that you're doing more than just looking at a picture.
Yeah.
There's a story behind that. There are living others who need support and love and encouragement, because it's going to be more to them than just a picture on a carton.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we hope that this conversation has provided some clarity for those who are wondering the difference between this concept of companioning and actual professional treatment and therapy. Additionally, we want to remind you that we are seeking volunteers to participate in our Sunday, March 17th, Companioning the Bereaved workshop, taking place from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. So please go to mama2mama.net, click on workshops, go down to Blessed Are the Bereaved, and there you will find the volunteer application. Anything else we should add, Mom?
Well, I just want to say that when they go to Mama, that it's the number 2.
Yes.
MAMA. Number 2. MAMA.
Yep. .net. All right, family, we look forward to hearing from you soon. If you have any questions, always feel free to talk to Mama. That can be found on the mamatomama.net website as well. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you.